You have to cherish things in a different way when you know the clock is ticking. You're under pressure. Chadwick Boseman. Yo, guys, what is going on? It is bright and early on this Monday, August 31st. Welcome back to TTP. This is our 18th episode. So, technically, though this would have been the scheduled date for our 19th episode, we didn't actually have an episode released last Friday because we streamed NBA 2K, I believe, on Thursday night. We're still not done with that tournament. We actually have a video about our draft. We can link that in the description. But all in all, we had a fun experience last Thursday. Obviously, we didn't get to interact with a lot of you guys, but some good content. Played some 2K matches. Keshav lost both, so he's officially eliminated from the tournament.
The lag. It's the lag. You guys can see it. It's in the footage. The lag.
Yeah, okay. We'll also link the bot types channel that we streamed on below, so you guys can watch and verify the lag. And I guess I'll just, before we move on to today's episode, also say that Chirag and I will be playing the final of this tournament, I believe on Thursday again. We'll figure out the time later, but follow our Instagram because I think that's where we'll be posting these updates. But anyway, today we have some good things planned about the NBA. Okay, Chuck?
Yeah, so today we're going to be doing something similar as we did last week with the NFL, but we're just going to be ranking our favorite NBA games of the past decade. So maybe you'll see us talk about some of our favorite teams. Ro likes the Lakers. Trog's a huge Rockets fan. I'm a huge Warriors fan. We got things ranging from Linsanity to some crazy playoff games to some of the most notable finishes in NBA Finals history. So, Trog, if you're ready to go, you can give us your first game.
All right, so for my first game, I'll be going with, it's a bit of an interesting one. I'll be talking about the Celtics and Wizards, Game 6 in the 2017 playoffs. So this was a game between a Isaiah Thomas-led Celtics. He came off the best season of his career. Actually, that probably for the entire career, unless somehow he returns. Against the Wizards, who had the duo of John Wall and an emerging Bradley Beal. So at this point, the series was 3-2. Wizards were down. So this was an elimination game. Wizards were at home. And it was just a very back and forth game between these two teams. Avery Bradley and Isaiah Thomas both had 27 points. For the Wizards, John Wall had 26. Bradley Beal had 33. Just a very competitive game. And it had one of the greatest game winners that I saw live, especially for a guy like John Wall. He had a pretty deep three. So,
I think I was at your house when during that game winner. Actually,
I don't know. Maybe both of you were. I'm not.
I don't know. I remember watching it at your house, but yeah.
Yeah. But it was a pretty crazy game. I didn't expect John Wall to hit a deep three, especially when Bradley Beal was playing well, and it kind of came out of nowhere. I believe that I watched some footage or an interview, and John Wall said that the play was drawn up for Bradley Beal, and he was double teamed, and because of that, they had to audible, and John Wall took a pretty deep three, not a lot of time left, and he sinked it, put the Wizards up by 1 in the game, and eventually that led them to winning. And I just think it's crazy that the Wizards were able to avoid elimination against the Celtics team. They did eventually lose this series, but in general, the series was super competitive. A huge surprise from the Wizards. We saw some flashes from John Wall and Bradley Beal. And so I hope next season when John Wall becomes healthy, we can see that duo play well once again. But this was one of my favorite series and one of my favorite game winners.
Yeah. I will say that the game winner was really nice, and then Al Horford right before that had a nice shot. But
was it a fadeaway? I think it was like fadeaway bank.
Yeah, it was a bank. But I was gonna say this game was almost known. Well, I shouldn't say it's known for this, but if you just take away the game winner, this was a really ugly game on offense. Like the Wizards, for example, right? They won this game, but they shot only 43% from the field, and they were only 5 of 24 from 3. So they struggled. I'm looking at Twitter right now. So here's some quotes. Okay, well, I don't know. I think the Celtics wore like all black this game because this was like a month after Isaiah Thomas' sister died, but maybe they were honoring her or something. And
Wait, that happened the
is
next year.
that why?
That happened
That
the
was the
next
next
year, I
year?
think. Or no, that happened later
Wait,
in the
no,
playoffs.
no.
No,
I'm pretty sure it's this
I'm
game, but
yeah.
but
It was a month
I'll
before
give some
this.
context to that. I'll give some context to that. So I remember reading about this. So the Wizards during the regular season wore all black. Just it was basically like a thing where it's like you're like gonna beat them badly or something. Like
Okay,
you're
yeah, they're
wearing all
just gonna
black. It's like
disrespect them. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
they're disrespecting them basically. So the Celtics did it back to the Wizards.
Yeah. So some of the quotes you see here, or sorry, some of the tweets you see here, turns CBS CBS Sports NBA. Turns out the funeral the Celtics wore all black for was for both teams' offenses. And I'm seeing this game is straight out of 1994. John Wall said, "Don't come to my city wearing all black," talking about a funeral. Uh, yeah, this was a pretty ugly game until the end. They both kind of
I
played
mean,
terribly, unless it was good defense. I don't know.
it,
But
I mean, it was a pretty chippy game. It was pretty late in the series, so it's not a surprise that like it wasn't super high scoring, but there are a lot of like personalities on both these teams. Like Jay Crowder, Amir Johnson, Marcus Smart, and then on the Wizards there was Markieff, um, John Wall, I guess. It was pretty chippy. I'm not sure there are any like technicals or whatever, but both teams were playing pretty hard, I believe. So it's not a surprise that they like shot terribly from three. So
yeah.
I mean, statistically, it wasn't a great game, but when watching it, it was a chippy game. It was fun to watch, even though they probably weren't making that many shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess ugly isn't the worst thing in the world. Yeah, kind of fun sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first game. Who should catch up? Should I go next or?
Oh, yeah, you can go next. I'll go after you.
Okay. I don't know what the pattern is here. I actually chose 3 non-playoff games. I could go chronologically. I'll just choose a game, whatever. I'm just gonna choose this. Anyway, so earlier this season, I thought this was still okay to choose just because obviously the season has been prolonged. And this game was actually from November 1st of 2019. So despite it being this year, it was about 10 months ago, which is kind of wild. But this is the Lakers versus the Dallas Mavericks. This was a nationally televised game. I believe it was either shown on like TNT or ESPN or something. So everyone got to see this game. And earlier I was talking about this off the record. I said it was Luka's coming out game, but then I remembered it was actually his second year. But this is still one of Luka's more iconic games, and this is kind of where I would say on national television, you got to see that he's taken his game to a next step in his sophomore season. Um, Obviously, in the bubble, he's been averaging a triple double. He did a lot against the Clippers before they lost. But this is one of those games where Luka's really, really carrying the Mavericks to what ended up being a loss, but it was a very competitive game against obviously number 1 seeded Lakers. So Luka finished this game with 31 points, 13 rebounds, and he also had 15 assists. And LeBron for the Lakers had he had 39 points, 12 rebounds, and 16 assists. And apparently this was the first time in NBA history where I think guys in opposing teams or two guys in a single game had 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 15 plus assists. But anyway, this game was really competitive. The Mavericks had the early advantage, and they had, I believe, a 14-point lead, 15-point lead at some point. But in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, Lakers slowly started chipping their way back. And the reason I really like this game is because this is kind of how I think the Lakers can play if they're at their best, and I think that's how they will eventually get to during this playoffs. Guy like Danny Green, who was maybe one of the heroes of this game. As time expired in the fourth quarter, Danny down 3, kind of an unusual shot. He pump fakes, the defender flies away, and Danny had to adjust himself midair, hits a 3. He finishes his game with 14 points and 3 of 6 from 3. So a really competitive game for him. And that's what the Lakers need, and that's what they got this day.
Feels like so long ago since Danny Green was a reliable 3-point shooter. you know.
Yeah, there was that one game. What was it? 2 games ago, but
Yeah, but still.
that was still an
Yeah.
anomaly.
Yeah.
And
No,
this was
but
also
yeah.
like
I feel bad for Luka during this game.
Yeah, same.
His team really didn't do much.
He put out
Like,
everything on the floor.
Yeah,
And that's what you've seen, I guess, during the playoffs as well, you know. He's been doing a lot. Like, I mean, like in the Clippers series especially. He's just a guy that does it. When he does it all, like, you feel bad for him. But, like, you know, once he gets the pieces around him, you know, maybe he can actually beat these teams.
Yeah, and it's like Luka had 4 threes. The rest of the starting lineup had 4 combined. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like guys like Jalen Brunson, 1 of 6. Maxi Kleber, 3 of 10. Just it's unfortunate. You look at the Lakers, LeBron 80 at 31. And
70
even
combined.
Danny Green had 14 points, which is good times. But yeah, you know, hopefully Luka can get more help next season.
Yeah, I will say though that it's nice to see. So Kuz got a lot of hate this year, at least early on. This game he was 0-4 from 3, 3 of 8 total. He's been playing better in the bubble. Still not the most reliable 3-point shooter. I don't think he ever was a reliable 3-point shooter, but at least he's scoring at a higher level now. And yeah, LeBron also had 4 steals this game, and he was really playing like he used to back in his younger days. He was attacking the rim, and he was finishing at the rim too with like legit authority. So this was exciting to watch. I think this is Luka's superstar coming out party, and then it was also LeBron's way of showing that he's still the best player in the world, arguably.
LeBron also had 5 fouls, so I'm not sure if he had to play with some foul trouble later in the game, but super impressive. He played 42 minutes, which is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Really impressive game.
Yeah, actually, no, it's kind of weird how I'm just going to say this real quick, but Luka only played 38 minutes, which is kind of surprising. He only had 3 fouls in 5, one ended up being 5 quarters, I guess.
Yeah.
I assume that means he played 33 minutes during regulation, which seems pretty low for a game this competitive. I know it was a 15-point game, 1 point, but that doesn't mean it wasn't competitive.
Yeah.
But that was a fun game.
Fun game. It's recent, but it was still like one of the best games of the regular season. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember because it was like nationally televised.
Yeah, it was ESPN or something, probably. Okay. Yeah, so the first game I'm gonna talk about, I think many of you remember this, is Warriors versus Kings in January of 2015. So this is the game where Klay had 37 points in the third quarter. Now, when you look at how he got those 37 points, it's absolutely insane because Klay was perfect from the field the entire quarter. He scored 9 threes. He was 9 for 9 from 3 that quarter. And when you're actually looking at that full quarter, he only had 19 points. 19 points in that quarter with 3.5 minutes left to go. Scored 18 in the final 3 minutes of that quarter. And basically what you see what Klay's doing here is just it's classic Klay things. And it's against a Kings team that's obviously not very good. But at like the 10-minute mark in the third quarter, this game is tied, right? You're seeing some surprising things from the Kings. At this time, the Warriors are a really good team. This is their first year with Steve Kerr, so basically the year of their first championship win since 1975. You know, and you have Steph Curry who's doing Curry things. But this game, you know, he's only shooting 3 for 11. Not much production from any other guys in this game. But if you look at that quarter box score itself, the score was 41-22. Klay had 37 of those 41. Now, I mean, just looking at that from like as a rate, right? That means he technically scored like 3 points a minute that quarter, right? It's absolutely insane. He shot 11 for 15 at the end of the game. He shot 11 for 15 from 3, which is 73% from 3. If he stayed in for the fourth, you know, arguably, he may have broken that 3-point record. He finished with 52 points, shooting 64% from the field. It's just classic Klay things that you see him do later when people say, Klay gets hot. He had the 10 straight threes versus the Lakers. He had that crazy game 6 against the Thunder. Just this is the game where you really saw that Klay is going to be a future All-Star. At this time, the critics didn't really see him as an All-Star, but this is when you saw that Klay was for real. He was a baller, right? He was a beast. And the fact that, in the last 5 minutes itself he scored 21 points is just astounding. Oracle was going crazy, and the Warriors actually finished this quarter with a 24-point lead after the Kings were only down by 9 with around 4 minutes remaining. So it's really sad to see, it's classic Kings being bad, but just it's really fun to see how much, Klay can do. Well, watching Klay like get hot from the three or just in general is like one of the best things ever because it's just he just doesn't miss. It's amazing.
I mean, yeah, you can shit on the Kings as much as you want, but like a good player's job is to be good.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he was great.
Be short of that.
I would also like to say Klay was already named an All-Star at this point.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I was reading
January
something that said,
23rd, right?
Yeah.
Wait, let me see 1 second. Because I was reading something that said at this time the critics weren't so sure if Klay was an All-Star.
Maybe deserving of an All-Star?
Or deserving of an All-Star, that may be it.
He was an All-Star this season, and he averaged 21.7. I'm pretty sure he was
All right, still, I mean, he wasn't seen as like one of the best players like in the league, right? At that time, like I would say now, the respect for him has been much higher than, what it once really was.
Yeah, I think this is probably his.
Oh wait, Klay actually replaced Blake Griffin in the All-Star game. Is what happened.
Really? That's a weird.
Yeah.
Isn't it usually positionally?
Yeah, I don't know. So they have LaMarcus Aldridge replaced AD, Klay replaced Blake Griffin, Harden replaced Kobe. Yeah. So I don't know if maybe he was a replacement that year, but well deserved, I guess, even if he was the replacement.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is when you saw that Klay's. I don't think before this he didn't. You have vintage Klay games, and this was the first one that showed that he was for real. And 37 points in a quarter, obviously the most in NBA history. Second most was I think 33 by Melo and the Iceman. But yeah, it's a crazy game.
I remember watching this game, and I've watched the highlights of this quarter many times.
It's just fun, so fun to watch, so satisfying.
Yeah, and I think what I enjoyed watching more is how much the Warriors wanted to feed Klay, no matter what. They just kept passing the ball, they kept wanting him to shoot, and I think that's an ode to the Warriors, game that they always want to feed the hot man. They're always
that's what makes the teams great. They
do great. Yeah, and I also enjoyed watching the Kings' reaction because, obviously everything dropped that quarter for Klay. He was 13 of 13. So just seeing the Kings just confused, kind of lost, just normal Kings activities. It was great to see.
Yeah, you have Nick Stauskas on the bench. Not a great team there. Quincy Miller, Ramon Sessions, Ray McCollum, Jason Thompson, Ryan Hollins.
Even Ryan Hollins. I didn't know he was still in the league in 2015.
Yeah. Nick Stauskas.
Future Warrior Omri Caspi.
Huh?
Future Warrior Omri Caspi.
Yeah.
He did some things as well.
Yeah.
Ramon Sessions. Shout out to Ramon Sessions from the pod. Yeah. But let me move on to the next game. So I'll be talking about one of my favorite games for a few reasons. So it's Rockets Warriors. This is January 3rd, 2019, just a regular season game.
Yeah, you guys can't get playoff games, right? You can't get a Rockets Warriors playoff game.
I mean, I could have done the one where they blew out the Warriors, but I just felt like it would be too harsh. I think this one was more competitive.
Yeah, there's not many Rockets Warriors ones you can choose. That's all I'm gonna say. But I'm just gonna say.
I wasn't even coming at the Warriors, man. I don't know why you're always that.
I don't know, man. The moment you chose Rockets Warriors, you made it a thing.
What do you mean? I didn't make it a thing.
All right,
Okay,
whatever. Just continue.
so Chris Paul wasn't even playing this game, so it made it more impressive. It was an OT win by the Rockets. Harden dropped 44. Even Capella had 29. Just a great game from the Rockets. The Warriors even played really well. Curry had 35. Klay had 26. KD had 26. So those are above average stats for the Warriors. So good game. But what really made this stand out was when Harden hit the game winner. I believe it was a 28-footer where he hit it over Draymond and Klay. Arguably a foul as well, and one should have been. But just seeing Harden, get that confidence right after that shot. Draymond was talking a lot of trash during that game. Harden said some, some words to Draymond after that shot. You can look at the film, read his lips. I just love it so much, and especially because the play before, Katie stepped out of bounds very blatantly. One of the most egregious calls I've ever seen. Ref was looking straight at KD while his foot was out of bounds.
Oh, that was bad.
Regardless of
I
that,
agree.
they won the game.
Yeah.
If they didn't win the game, I think it would be a different story. But I just loved it.
No, I agree. That was the worst. That's the worst missed call I've ever seen. Like, holy, like he's
Yeah.
literally his entire foot's out of bounds. Oh my
And
god.
the ref was literally like right there.
Right there. Yeah.
That was their job. They were a sideline ref. They had to look at the sidelines. That's all they had to do.
And I didn't think
Whatever.
the play after that, Katie took a shot. It just wasn't in time or something. Didn't that
At
happen?
the last shot of the game.
Yeah, last shot of the game.
I mean,
Did he
it
make a
was in
shot that
time,
was
but
in
he
time?
missed it. He
Oh, he
missed
missed
it.
it? Damn,
He
come on,
missed it.
KD. Jesus. But you know who was actually at this game? Kyle, another friend of the pod here.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. He
It's
probably
kinda
has very fond memories of this game.
Yeah, I mean,
Shout out.
the Warriors played great, so that's what made it an even better win. They shot 52% from the field, 38% from three. I just love it. I just love it.
Speaking of Kyle, before we move on from this game, it'd be interesting. We could bring him on for an episode where we just shit talk on everyone else's fantasy teams.
That'd be nice. That'd be
Because
exciting.
we already shit talked them a lot, right? So we might as well do it for the pod.
Yeah. Might as well.
Shit talk Chonke a lot.
It happens. It's inevitable.
We're not supposed to start yet.
Yeah, we won't start it this episode. We won't start it this episode. Okay. And
You
then
can
so
go
I
ahead
guess
now, right?
my next game. So I'm gonna choose one. This is a little more obscure. This isn't a playoff game. This isn't even between two teams that made the playoffs this year, I think, right? I don't know. Either way, at the time of this game, both teams are below 500. It was the Knicks versus Raptors, February 14th, 2012. This was a long time ago. We were all, or two of us were 9, one of us was 10. What was this? This was 4th grade back in the day. Raptors after this game were 9-21. Knicks were 14-15. So not a very popular game. It wasn't nationally televised, I don't think. I would hope not. But people tend to look back at this game because it is maybe not the Linsanity game, but it is, in my opinion, the climax of Linsanity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely the greatest moment in Linsanity history in Jeremy Lin's career. This was a pretty good game. The Raptors pretty much had the lead the entire way. There's just not a whole lot to say about before the very end. I mean, if we're going to talk about these rosters, DeMar DeRozan was the best player here, but the rest of the guys on the Raptors, Jose Calderon, Amir Johnson, James Johnson, and Aaron Gray, and a lot of minutes from Linus Kleza. It's not a very exciting roster here. Even DeMar only put up 14. It was Jose Calderon versus Jeremy Lin, really. And then Jeremy Lin had help from guys like Landry Fields, Amari Stoudemire, Henry Walker, and Tyson Chandler. So Carmelo wasn't active for this game, and that's a key reason for this whole Linsanity run, especially this game here. Because you could have expected, right, if Carmelo was healthy, he would be the one taking the last shot in a tie ball game, 87-87. Instead, it's Jeremy Lin, who coming into the last shot had 24 points, 11 assists, And as much as you want to hate on him, eight turnovers that's awful. But
when you have the ball that much, it just happens sometimes,
Yeah, exactly.
especially when you're that ball dominant.
I think it's kind of crazy watching this entire Linsanity run. He just really, you've never seen that from Jeremy Lin after that kind of alpha behavior. Where he's first of all, he's not worrying about Carmelo. He has the ball. He's not really pulling up for three. He was only 2 of 2 this ball game, so he took 18 twos, and he's pretty much just attacking the rim. Raptors really have no one to stop him. This is a pretty awful defensive team. Obviously, that explains the record, but. Yeah, the last shot, he just pulls it. It's just him. ISO pulls up for 3, right over Jose Calderon, and wins a game. I don't know. This was a really fun, exciting ball game. Jeremy Lin, it's just you can't hate the guy. You can't hate the guy. I think maybe if you're okay, I was gonna say if you're gonna talk about your favorite players in the NBA, you would say Jeremy Lin, but I take that back. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
But. You just like seeing Jeremy Lin succeed. Linsanity was really fun. I think him tearing his ACL was one of the worst feelings of that season.
Exactly. And, I think at that time also, the Knicks were, because Melo was injured, they were, not sure if they would make the playoffs or not, if it's another lost season. And they actually did make the playoffs this season at 36-30. They lost 4-1 to the Heat, but, Linsanity may be a lot to be thanked for the reason why they even made the playoffs in the first place this season, because someone replacing Melo, you wouldn't expect it to be Jeremy Lin, but it ended up being him, and he won them a series of games. And I think this game was also at the climax, and I think another game that was also really crazy was the one against the Lakers, and it was basically just him versus Kobe, and he showed Kobe, he's pretty good too,
Yeah, and then he ends up, Kobe was probably pretty happy when he joined the squad a few years later. Yeah. I think there's,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think one of my favorite Jeremy Lin moments on the Lakers when he shook off Kobe. Kobe's calling for the pass.
Yeah, and then he just
that was crazy.
Confidence. That's confidence right there.
I was gonna say that I think you got to put this in perspective as well, because Jeremy Lin was only 23 at this time in his second season. So to see him do all these crazy things, hit a super deep 30+ foot 3 at the end of the Raptors game was just crazy. And even this stretch of Linsanity probably led him to his massive contract. Not massive, but his 3-year, $24 million contract for Houston. So
yeah, even after tearing an ACL.
Yeah. So Linsanity was it was a fairy tale to think about.
Yeah, up to this point,
watching the documentary.
Yeah,
Linsanity.
Yeah,
that was
in PE, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah, in PE. But yeah, it was just great to see. You gotta love Jeremy Lin for one reason or another.
Up to this point, he was known for being a YouTuber. Collaborating with Kev Jumba,
Ryan Higa.
Yeah. I've actually been binge watching some Kev Jumba videos.
Kev Jumba's so funny. Yeah, I've been watching both of theirs. Kev Jumba's old videos are great.
It is pretty sad to watch, man. It's because I was reading the whole thing about how he was in a car crash.
How he got a car crash, and he became a monk, and then.
Yeah.
But he was on a podcast with Ryan Higa. So shout out to those other pods,
Yeah, he was shit talking Paco.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Paco has. Yeah, Paco. You heard about the drama with Paco?
Yeah, I heard about the Paco drama.
Yeah,
he's out of the whole thing.
He got canceled.
Anyway. All right.
But Jeremy Lin. Jeremy Lin. We love Jeremy Lin, and that's my second game.
All right. So my second game is, I think, one that's also in everyone's recent memory. Sixers Raptors Game 7. Last year, Eastern Conference Semis. And it was a pretty ugly game, I would say. Both teams didn't shoot very well. It was pretty low scoring considering the pace of today's game. The Sixers shot 43%. The Raptors shot 38%. And Kawhi actually took 39 shots this game. He took 39 shots in this one game. And he ended up shooting 41%. And the Sixers as well didn't have any notable performances. Ben Simmons was all right. Tobias Harris was all right. JJ Redick was all right. Embiid and Butler were pretty inefficient, to say the least. But it was a game that came down to the wire at the very end. And I think if I recall correctly, the play before this, Jimmy Butler tied the game on a fast break. And it looked like the Sixers may have actually had a chance to beat the Raptors, which I would say be surprising at the time, especially the Raptors were a better regular season team. The Sixers still lacked some experience, but Jimmy Butler was, it's a piece that we saw that was missing for the Sixers this year. He was a big part of that team's success. But I think that infamous play, everyone knows about it. Kawhi Leonard moves towards the right baseline, and he's covered by two guys, Embiid and someone else, and he just shoots it over them. And the bounce, and I think what makes this game so special, it's going to be one of those iconic games that'll be talked about forever because it's a game 7 of a playoff game, and the way that the shot went in was just absolutely remarkable, right? And the Raptors go on winning the finals this year, so you can see how much of like a pivotal moment this is for the Raptors, right? If not for this game, you never know what would have happened, right? Because it's a game that you'll be talking about this game forever, I think.
Yeah, Warriors would have won another one if it wasn't for that shot.
Yeah, like that shot was just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you sometimes forget that the 76ers once had a chance to beat the Raptors.
Exactly, yeah.
They swept. I mean, there's a joke.
Like they were actually decent last year, which is just weird, right? I'm just like confused.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like, how did they even get to this point?
Even like they even lost JJ Redick free agency. Jimmy Butler obviously was a huge piece, but
yeah,
this team was once good, and they once had a shot to beat, like this Kawhi-led Raptors team, which was known as one of the more, because of recency, but they were known to be a pretty solid team with a lot of great pieces and young pieces. Kawhi obviously, a lot of bigs, just a great team overall.
Yeah.
And shout out to Jeremy Lin actually, who was on this Raptors team.
Yeah, shout out Jeremy.
He was on the team. Maybe he guided Fred Van
and shout out
some advice.
Yeah, I was gonna say shout out Danny Green.
Danny Green, okay, yeah, the Danny Green thing's there.
3. I was gonna say that. So you were talking about how the 76ers at this point were a pretty solid team, especially on defense. I mean, this Raptors team again was known for their well-rounded scoring, right? You on any given night, you could see 30 from Leonard, Lowry, Siakam, Van Vliet even. But today, I mean, it was only Kawhi 41, and the next highest score was 17 off the bench from Serge Ibaka. And Siakam with 11, Lowry with 10. It was a really concentrated scoring effort, just for Kawhi.
39 shots. Holy.
Yeah, 39 shots.
That's insane.
39 of their 89 field goal attempts, so just a little bit under half there for Kawhi. I don't know, man. 76ers, I think Jimmy Butler has a bigger effect than people realize. I think that's huge.
And also, every starter played 40 minutes or more that game, which is, shows the intensity of the playoff basketball. But yeah, we can go to
it was a game 7, so these game 7, there's usually a lot of
intensity. The intensity of playoff basketball is just crazy.
And Kawhi played 43 minutes. Even Marc Gasol played 45 minutes. I couldn't imagine him doing that in the playoff series this year. I haven't even seen him play more than like 20 minutes a game, honestly. So it was a great effort from both teams. I can't imagine the 76ers even being a competent team. So it's good to see that they have some potential.
Yeah. They had some potential, but
now I don't know about it.
Now we don't know, but
maybe
especially the contract situation is terrible.
Yeah, it is really bad.
Yeah, not only is their contract situation terrible, but if they want to offload those contracts like Tobias Harris and Al Horford, they don't really have that many picks left. They don't have many good young players. As much as we like Matisse, he's really not like the shit.
Yeah, he's a great defender, but he loses it on offense. He doesn't really have much there.
Like on 2K. In 2K, I know Zaire Smith has a lot of value in trades, but he's not. Again, he's nothing. They don't have. They're just kind of predatory.
Their best trade piece is probably Jay Rich. just because he doesn't have a huge contract and he's still youngish, but he's not great. It's just a terrible situation. They just fired their head coach, so maybe they can figure it out. They get someone. I have no idea.
Dude, they were good last year. Holy crap! Oh my
Yeah,
god, it's crazy.
I mean, like, I think it's crazy that, like, imagine if they could do this with like this much defense. Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, and Joel Embiid in the starting lineup. Like, that's insane.
It's almost like the process was going well, and then they're like, "F the process" this year, and then they just screwed it.
Yeah,
But yeah, we can go to the next
If
one.
you have
Elton
defenders
Brand
that can
gotta go.
defend at the highest level at 3 different levels, and you can't, I don't know. It's tough.
It's actually kind of crazy though. The plus minus for the 76ers starting lineup, everyone was positive. The bench though, -12 Mike Scott, -9 Greg Monroe, and the -8 for James Ennis.
Yeah.
So
Serge Ibaka had a plus 22. Fred VanVleet had a plus 10.
Well, Fred didn't make a shot this game, damn. But
yeah, I think he didn't play a whole lot.
Yeah. Treg, you can talk about your next game.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, I quickly wanted to just as a quick side note, Trog. So 5 minutes ago, Adam Schefter tweeted, Saints running back Alvin Kamara has had an unexcused absence from training camp the past 3 days, and it is believed to be contract related. Saw that?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's crazy.
I'll let you think about that.
I saw you missed practice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. So.
You kind of worried about
Okay, whatever. It's okay.
Should you read the tweet again?
Just taking Z.
So it registers.
You had him.
So Trog's a little starstruck here. Let's give him some time. It seems like the tweet still hasn't registered, but okay. All right, continue.
Anyway, let me talk to you about my last game. All right, so this is the 2013 Finals, Game 6 between the Spurs and the Heat. It's one of the more iconic NBA games of this decade. It was a pivotal game for basically everyone involved. There's a huge, dynasty with the Spurs. Tony Parker, Manu, Tim Duncan. With the Heat, the Tron, Wade, and Bosch. And what actually, led this game, or what ended this game, was a very clutch three from not one of those guys in the 3-0, but actually Ray Allen. I believe he was 38 at this time, a veteran. He hit a corner three with a few seconds to go that led the Heat to win this game. It's one of the most clutch moments I've ever seen. Games of a finals elimination game, and the Heat somehow come out of this. And I think what made this more emotionally charged for me, at least, was because I was in New York with my cousins who really hated LeBron. And I was a LeBron fan at the time. I still am, but I was more of a LeBron fan back then. And just to see the Heat win this game and see, my cousins really disappointed, it was just one of the best feelings. So this is one of my favorite games. Great game overall, but especially at the end, great moment for Ray Allen. And, if he didn't hit the shot, LeBron would only have 2 chips at this time. So it would be a very different conversation for LeBron.
Yeah, I remember also watching that game, and I was just watching it at home. I was talking to my brother who was at the Taj Mahal at the time, so he wasn't able to watch the game, which is pretty funny. But it's just insane because he's just updating on his phone the score, and he's like, "Dude, the game's over," because it's like the score didn't process or anything. But then like when he sees that it's tied, it's just no one would believe it, right? Like especially like you saw the things that like Heat fans actually left early, right? And they were only down 4. Why would you leave early at the time, right? And they leave early, and LeBron hits 1-3, and then he comes back to the court again, misses one, Bosch rebound. It's just iconic. It's one of the most iconic moments of all time. Sports history, in my opinion.
I remember the
headband.
The commentators.
Oh,
what?
I was talking about LeBron's headband.
The commentary of this was but like pass out, rebound by Bosch.
Pass it to Allen.
passed out to Allen. It's a very iconic moment, NBA history. I think it's one of the most clutch plays. NBA Finals Game 6. Maybe not as clutch as LeBron's, block in that Game 7. I'm not talking about that game, not one of my favorites, but just wanted to bring it up. But it was a great moment for, I think, this Heat team, especially because they eventually did win this series, and they did win the dip. So this moment really changed the pace. Entirely changed the pace from, them losing the game to them going to a Game 7. Yeah, also shout out to T-Mac. He was on this team, Houston legend, Magic legend. He didn't play a game for the Spurs, but he could have got a chip. It's sad he didn't, but it is what it is.
It's kind of disrespectful of Ray Allen to hit a three, man. He already had a championship at that point. T-Mac didn't. It's just one of those unwritten rules. It's like,
he was basically ring chasing, so just come on, man.
Why can't T-Mac just win a ring, bro? Come on.
Just have some ethics right there. Have some ethics for once in your life.
Jeez, ridiculous.
So
he was actually 37 at this time, so it's kind of crazy. He played 40 minutes this game.
This is Vince Carter is joining ESPN as an analyst.
Oh wow! Yeah, love to see it.
Love to see it. Yeah, I think that's kind of really
Shout out to Vince, cousin of T-Mac.
Vince and T-Mac will work together, it seems. It'll be exciting.
Yeah. That's really crazy. And that actually also goes back. Gerard was talking about his cousins a few minutes ago. So that's a little bit of a stretch, but we'll leave that there. I guess so I'll move on to the next game. I guess we've hit 40 minutes, so we'll probably try to wrap this up kind of soon. But my final game here, I chose this as my final game. I thought it was fitting because it was Kobe's final game. April 13th, 2016, Mamba out.
Yeah.
Lakers they were just not that good at basketball this year. They had 17 wins. They followed this up by taking one, Brandon Ingram. So this was a fun year this was not a fun year for the Lakers. But it was Kobe's farewell tour, right? So every game kind of felt like it had added meaning to it. His last game, certain arenas, and obviously this was just his final game, period. Playing the Utah Jazz, who weren't the greatest team at this point. Obviously, this was pre Donovan Mitchell, and then it doesn't seem like Rudy Gobert played in this game. I think he must have been hurt. The starting lineup for that team, unless it was just maybe they were resting some guys because it was the last game and they already locked up the 8 seed or something, but they were starting Trey Lyles, Sheldon Mack, Gordon Hayward, Jeff Withey, and Rodney Hood. So it wasn't the most exciting matchup here, but Kobe clearly mattered to him and clearly mattered to NBA fans across the world.
Everyone was at that game, Snoop Dogg, Kanye, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Jack Nicholson's always there. But it was just iconic. You have to be there. You have to see it.
Yeah, and Kobe's a showman, so he stepped up. 48 minutes is the length of a regulation NBA game. Kobe played 42 minutes, and he's old as hell. And he went out there, grinded, took 50 shots. 50 shots. You thought Kawhi took 39 in inefficient rate, and you thought that was bad? Kobe took 50. And he wasn't even terribly inefficient, to be honest with you. 22, 50, 44%.
Yeah. That's pretty decent.
And
honestly,
yeah, 6 of 21 from 3 is pretty bad, but still, you know exactly what he's trying to do.
His career average was 44.7%. So it was basically he was playing his career average.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60 points, just average game for Kobe.
And I was just gonna say, I think Kobe was really clutch in this game as well. They were down actually, I think in the fourth by around 10 or so, and he made some big plays at the very end. You can talk about that, I guess, because you love this game. But that game-winning shot and all, iconic Kobe.
Everyone loves this game. I feel like you guys could have.
Yeah, I love this game.
Too.
Yeah, I considered it.
Yeah. But there's a lot of. Honestly, this team as a whole, they showed a lot of respect to Kobe. just by giving up the rock so many times. I mean, D'Angelo played 36 minutes, and you all know D'Angelo. He's going to shoot the ball. He only shot the ball 10 times, and because he knew exactly what the game plan was. I'm sure Byron Scott was a terrible coach, but I'm sure he agreed, that the one way you can go out is let Kobe shoot 50 times, and everyone bought into that. Jordan Clarkson, another guy who just shoots the ball. If you play him 34 minutes, he's probably going to shoot the ball 30 times, but he only shot the ball 10 times. He's giving the ball up. D'Angelo had 5 assists. Marcelo Huertas, off the bench at 6. He's just passing it to Kobe, right? So these guys really bought into this whole thing. I'm looking at the game highlights right now, and it's really crazy. Like, I mean, literally everything you're seeing is him. Was it Gordon Hayward guarding him?
Gordon Hayward.
That nice, that deep 2, the go-ahead deep 2. At that point, he had 56. What ended up being 58. And then obviously scores a dagger there to end it. You see everyone here. Right? You see Vanessa. You see Gigi, Natalia. This was before the birth of people forgetting BB and Coco.
Yeah.
There's some random white kid here. I don't know why he's.
Yeah, wait. He just came in the shot. I was looking at that.
Oh, shit.
I can't remember a more iconic final game.
No way. Yeah.
Maybe David Robinson, winning the championship, but
I mean, actually watching it though, but Kobe.
Yeah, but I'm just saying moments. But it was just a crazy moment. He dropped 60. He didn't play much this season in terms of minutes, but he really wanted to show off for this game, and he did. Drop 60. He shot pretty efficiently for Kobe, but just good.
Yeah, I remember Shaq asked him, but also the day before that game or something on TNT, he was like, "Hey Kobe, how much you gonna drop?" And he's like, "We want to see 50 or something," and then Kobe's like, "Nah," he puts up 60. It's just crazy. It's unreal.
He knew.
Yeah, it's wild.
I also think it just. I remember even this Jazz team wasn't terrible. They were. They could have been in the playoffs this
year. Yeah, they got eliminated on that day, actually. They were
So
is that why? Did they get eliminated prior?
They got eliminated prior, yeah. They
So that's why they were throwing out Jeff Withy and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting if they didn't, and Kobe got them out of the playoffs on his final game. I think he would have had an extra. It actually mattered for the Jazz.
Yeah.
But it was just a great game. I think it's one of the most iconic games. I would have picked it if you're a Lakers. That's why it makes sense for you to.
But imagine if Utah, so if they didn't get eliminated, whoever won earlier that day had lost. Imagine if Utah was like, we have a good chance at the 8th seed here, right? We can get into the playoffs. We can go upset the Warriors. So they try their hardest this game. They double Kobe the entire game. Kobe finishes with 12 points on 50 shots. I think maybe a hot take. I think Utah would have been the most hated team of that year for sure, 100%. But I think that'll do it for my games. Okay, Shav, should be your last one right here, and we try to wrap this up.
Yeah. So last one is Warriors Thunder, February 2016. Now, this game is also really iconic for 2 reasons personally for me. The reason I remember the day of this game because it was the day before Yosemite, and I was watching this full game, and my mom was pretty annoyed because I still had some stuff to pack, and she was like, "You're being irresponsible." Yeah.
Most of you from Reddit. So what exactly was this Yosemite game?
Huh?
What exactly was this Yosemite thing you're talking about for the viewers?
So this in 8th grade we went on a Yosemite trip as a school in 8th or just 8th graders, but it was a great time, that's all I'm gonna say. But on to the actual game. This game went to OT, and I remember the way this game went to OT was absolutely crazy. Klay scored a 3, I think, and then after that the Thunder turned it over on an inbounds. It's this crazy sequence of events here. Draymond throws it to Curry throws it to Iguodala, who pump fakes, gets fouled, and goes to the line. And Iggy's not a great free throw shooter, but in this moment right here, he tied it with both of those free throws going in. And that's what really led the game to OT. And I think that finish itself was pretty underrated, the way this game even went to OT in the first place. It's just a crazy sequence of events. And then there's that iconic shot by Curry. And the Thunder actually, KD got fouled out during OT in this game. So you really had Russ taking most of the shots. So, you're kind of losing one of your best scorers there, I guess, in OT. But then, Curry, with so much confidence, no hesitation, pulls up from near half court and sinks 3 to win the game when the game was tied. And, you had that iconic Mike Breen call, the most iconic, bang, bang, bang. Like, that's one of the most iconic ones, I would say. But just overall a really fun game. Super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, also, what was also pretty, what made that last play even crazier is the fact that the Warriors they had a timeout, they didn't call it. I believe that was part of the Mike Green call. He said, they're not calling a timeout.
Yeah, they have a timeout, and you decide not to use it. Curry, from way downtown. Burn.
Yeah, and not a lot of teams do that. Not a lot of coaches have trust in their player to go down the court, just hit a shot.
Yeah, that's a really good decision there.
Something like that. But there's a lot of trust in. It makes a Thunder. You can't substitute if there's some bad defenders. You're unprepared, and Curry has unlimited range. And he was still respected, of course, but they didn't think that he would, pull up from 35 feet to the game winner.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely Keshav. I would agree. One of the better games of this last decade. One of the more exciting ones. I have really shitty memory, but I still remember that shot because it's definitely you think it's the most iconic shot of Curry's career. Yeah. So maybe, yeah.
As Paul George says,
that's a bad shot.
That's a bad shot.
It's a bad shot. No one's complaining though. But yeah, we had some good games on here. We had 9 of them. We had a good amount of variety here, other than Keshav. I don't remember what you talked about the first game, but I'm pretty sure it's all Warriors.
No, Sixers Raptors.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. No, I mean, you only chose that game because we made you choose that game. But
hey, fine. I got the decent.
Anyway, we got 9 good games here. Iconic games. We expect a lot of good ones this coming decade. Honestly, in the coming weeks, should be some good playoff matchups. I'm excited to see what the Lakers can do against Denver. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I think that should just about do it for TTP 18. We will see you on Wednesday. Peace.